Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending your precious time with me while you're on the net. My name is Tanya, and I am the founder of the Mind Meat Food Method. I'm a holistic health coach. I am a mindful eating coach, and I'm a dental hygienist where the gut begins. And I am always, always, always obsessed with full-on health, including the health of your mind, especially when it comes to food. And I wanted to just share with you today the topic of willpower. I've been posting on Instagram. I have like a whole holiday BS series of all the things that we're told to do to survive the holidays. And I keep saying, like, what is the survive the holidays, get through the holidays? Like, we survive famine. We don't need to survive gingerbread, okay? But anyway, I just want to talk about willpower. I just had this conversation in my group. So if you're looking for a Facebook group to join, I think maybe you should come and join mine. And if we are to pull out the advice of using willpower around food temptation and throw that into the advice that we are given to survive holiday party and events, I think we are oversimplifying this whole willpower concept. What do you think? What do you think? Control or struggle in the moment. That's willpower, really. And it's opposite to practicing things the mindful way, practicing mindful eating or intuitive eating, where you can create your own choice in the moment. Now, yes, there are lots of books about willpower. I read things about motivation all the time. There's lots of stuff out there. If there's something that you have read that really resonated with you and created a lifelong change for you, please, or a sustainable change, a life-changing change, let me know. Please message me or pop them in the comments and tell me what created change for you. I love to learn. So, willpower and even motivation isn't you have it or you don't kind of thing. You're not born with motivation. Are you born with willpower? Are we shaped by all the events that happen in our life? Yes, of course we are. We still look down on others who seem to have no willpower. We judge someone else as unhealthy by the size of their body. How do we even know that? And then sometimes I hear people degrading others for the fact that they eat cake. We are judgmental creatures. I get that. We're human. We all want to belong. We all want to feel like we flow with the pack, and exclusion is one way of gaining that sense of belonging. And when we feel unmotivated, we call ourselves lazy or stupid, or sometimes we just feel like we lack control. And that's not really the case, is it? But we feel like that. And we're pressured with all these messages of this 21-day habit myth. What is with this 21-day habit myth anyway? Is this actually true? I know I have friends who believe that it's true. The European Journal of Social Psychology shares that this really is a myth. It originated in the 60s with a book written by Dr. Maltz, who was a plastic surgeon, and the book is called Psycho-Cybernetics. I've not read it, but this plastic surgeon became a psychologist. Kind of cool, eh? And he said that his patients got used to like a new face, an amputation, etc. in 21 days. And so this kind of extended to other things, and it kind of became like a thing, much like if you eat chewing gum, it'll sit in your stomach for 100,000 years and it will never digest. And there are some studies that say like that the time spans for integrating behavior or habit change may range from 18 days to 254, with a habit average of like 66 days. And so we know that people with the simplest habit changes may do better than those who have complex or broad things that they want to change, and maybe when you're working with people and you get stuck, maybe those things are a little too complex or a little too broad. This thing about judgment though, when we judge ourselves, when we judge others, when we judge ourselves, it can almost feel good, like we're having some honest conversation with ourselves. We slag our bodies, we do that in front of our friends or with our friends, like it's a form of belonging, and we really aren't engaging in helpful conversation at all. We're engaging in worry and we're engaging in agitation conversation. And that puts our brain into a survival focus, which puts out stress. And we all know what stress does to us. And if we don't, maybe I need to put a video out about that, right? But all those physical things that happen when we get stressed happen in our body, even with thoughts. And so when you think of diet culture that wants you to feel pretty guilty for overdoing it on the gingerbread or having too much at a barbecue or too much potato salad or gaining 5 pounds or whatever it is, you know, it co-opts this concept of willpower and motivation and sticks it in with weight loss, right? Like it keeps you revolving in this revolving door because we don't always have willpower. We don't always have motivation. There are concepts that these things ebb and flow, excuse me, like cravings or sleepiness and hunger, you know, it comes and it goes, but there's this underlying assumption that if you are in a lack of willpower state, then there's something wrong with you. And that's further from the truth, you know. When we tell ourselves these things, if I just get back on the wagon, if I just work harder, if I just had willpower tonight at this party, if I just get through, I'll succeed, I'll be good until tomorrow. Or what does succeed mean? Does it mean that you're not going to overeat? Like, what does overeating mean to you? Before we attach willpower, the concept of it, to say overeating or motivation and eating, or before we even take it away, maybe that's the question. Maybe we have to ask ourselves what we actually feel. Like, what does overeating mean to us? What are we looking for when we want to change our body? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you. People get me wrong sometimes in some of the conversations I have, that there's anything wrong if you want to shrink your body. And that's a whole other topic. But when you're doing that at the cost of other areas of your health, is that a healthy thing? And so before we even look at this whole willpower thing, maybe if you want to write down and look at your reasons for being like so scared of overeating, maybe you could just write them down and look at that and see what comes up for you, okay? And please know, this is just for information purposes. I'm not here to trigger anybody. If you have an issue where you feel that your disordered eating is moving towards something else and you need some professional help, please reach out to somebody, your doctor, a licensed healthcare practitioner, to get some help for all of these feelings around eating and all these actions around eating. Okay. When I looked at what overeating meant to me, it meant that I was a person with no choice and no control. And that was a theme throughout my life. There were so many layers to overeating for me. And you'll find that you have a belief system too, attached to your concept of overeating. We get moral about food. Food seems to be either virtuous or bad or labeled something or other, you know. Otherwise, why would a truffle at a party table be called sinfully delicious? Why is chocolate cake tempting? Why would we feel that eating celery is clean? And I know the rationale behind clean eating, but you know, we feel virtuous when we opt for something clean, and then we might even debate over the dip, whether or not it has fat. Is it the right kind of fat? Is there too much salt? Like, you know, we can go on and on. Like, why does that feel better? And I was listening to a CBC radio program that featured Dr. Carl Eric Fischer. He is an assistant professor at Columbia University, and he was talking about willpower. Now, this guy's a psychiatrist and an addiction specialist, and I started reading a little more, and I really got into his thoughts about willpower. So cool, you know. And he says that he's skeptical about the concept of willpower. Skeptical about it because it sets people up for failure. And he believes that this overarching concept of willpower does more harm than good and doesn't address all the psychological nuances of self-regulation or control. And that willpower concept, you know, in self-help can actually be not helpful. In fact, like body shaming, it's stigmatizing. And I thought that was very interesting. And then I learned that willpower, according to him and others, you know, was a Victorian era concept of virtuosity, and that self-denial and perseverance made one person better than the other. Interesting how it parallels diet culture, really. And in Victorian times, this morality concept was used around substances, and now we lump food in as an addictive substance sometimes. But there's all kinds of studies, and I talked about this in my Facebook group, how studies sort of go for and against willpower. But willpower seems to be packaged with control, right? And for sure, we need to have some control in life. We can't just go to work, get upset, and lie down on the floor and throw a tantrum. No, we can't. We do have to have some self-control over our emotions, over behavior, and yes, to some extent, food, maybe, and alcohol, and all of that stuff. We do have to work within the confines and self-actualize and work within the confines of society. But this Dr. Fischer says that, you know, this concept of willpower may not bode or hold water, as it isn't encompassing all of the little goings on that make up self-control. It may be cementing stigma and moralization where there really is no place for that. So we lump willpower in with choosing food and the survival of the holidays or barbecues or whatever. If you decide to pack willpower tonight, if you're going to a party and you pack willpower and it doesn't work for you, well, pack yourself some self-compassion as well. Don't be so hard on yourself, because maybe this isn't a thing that actually works. Where willpower and food is concerned, it might honestly be completely overrated. Completely overrated. And look, I'm not saying that we should just abandon all our health and just face plant right into the chocolate cake, although some days that sounds really good, right? No, I'm not saying that well, yeah, maybe, but no, I'm not saying that we just like dive into the chocolate cake and give up everything for good. I'm just saying that focusing on our numbers, on our weight loss as the only marker for health, when there's so many other markers like mental health, relationships, stress, sleep, the environment that you operate in, like this is something that can push people aside, men and women alike. You know, when we talk about diet culture, we talk a lot about women, but what about men who feel marginalized by diet culture and body image? What about that? And as a holistic health coach, as a mindful eating coach for mature women who are tired of revolving in the diet door, rolling in and out of that, I'm just saying that all of these survival concepts around the holidays, they don't really work with someone who struggles with food in an emotional capacity. You know, for someone who eats for reasons other than hunger, no amount of white knuckling through a holiday party is going to keep you from craving and caving at some point in time if you haven't looked at this stuff. And there's evidence behind the diets, the deprivation, that they don't work and that they're not sustainable long term. As women, we all have to come face to face with a change in our body, whether it's puberty, whether it's having a baby, whether it's, hello, turning 50. At some point or another, we are going to be like faced with sag, with dimpling, size changes. No amount of willpower is going to keep that from happening. And even Dr. Fischer on the CBC interview felt that the concept of willpower, when it's paired with food, dieting, even when a person may have to address size as part of an endeavor for health, it wasn't effective thinking about willpower, this struggle in the moment to achieve this broad goal. He said that reflecting on emotional components driving your urges or the broader motivation that may keep you moving forward would be much more helpful than the moment by moment struggle of willpower. And I found this really quite interesting. So I'm going to have to read more about that. But, you know, when you think of the concept of becoming aware of why you do the things you do and pairing that with mindful eating, aware of why you eat the way you eat, how you eat, why you eat, all of that stuff, you can get off the automatic roller coaster. You can get attuned to your automatic behavior and just become more aware of what's driving your eating in the first place. And mindful eating pairs really well with compassion. We can bring awareness and compassion for yourself while you're practicing it and create conscious choice and not struggle. So if this resonates with you, please let me know. I invite you to download my Permission to Eat guide, where I give an overview of mindful eating. And EAT really stands for Eat with Awareness and Thrive, because if you're eating with all this struggle, you're not thriving. But I have a series of videos in there. You can come on in and join my Facebook group. Follow me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'd love to keep this discussion rolling together. I really think that we can change the narrative and change the story, especially for women over 50 who still struggle with feeling like they're losing their youth, their looks, their body, all these changes we go through. I don't want it to be like that for you. So thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you for dropping by, and I look forward to hearing from you. Let me know if this resonates for you, okay? And again, if you're going out tonight, don't struggle. Pick 3 things. Pick 3 things, put them on your plate, maybe even eat dessert first and feel satisfied. Life should feel satisfying, shouldn't it? You have a great day.